So no pressure or anything. Consider this, you're a filmmaker, you're a writer, you're a novelist, you're incredibly talented, you're accomplished, and the world is going to look very closely. Why? Well, what if your father is one of the most successful playwrights of all time, and you just happen to be married to one of the most successful and talented actors of our time? The talent and relationships point toward one woman, Rebecca Miller. Her latest book is Jacob's Folly. Her father, we will mention, was Arthur Miller. Her husband, Daniel Day-Lewis. Rebecca Miller is our guest today on Bookmark. Welcome, so good to have you here.
Thank you.
You know how you've heard all stories have been told before? I don't think this one has been told before. So give us a synopsis that involves an Orthodox Jew from the 1700s who's reincarnated into a fly. Take it from there.
Well, yes, a Jewish peddler from Paris in the 1800s is reincarnated as a fly in contemporary Long Island and ends up living among Orthodox Jews in contemporary Long Island and also with an Italian-American family. And it's very hard to say exactly how this came about. There was a series of very strange coincidences that led me to this story. I started with just one image, which was Leslie Senza Timore, who's the name of my volunteer fireman, was standing peeing on his front lawn. And I had a sense that there was a sort of another dimension, which was this little being that was looking down on him. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but I knew it was a sort of slightly malevolent, but not entirely evil, just mischievous spirit.
And you didn't know if he was a fly or an angel,
no,
or you felt the energy of it.
Some third element was looking down. And I also had an idea of Masha, which was the idea of a destructive female force that was going to somehow overcome Leslie. I had this sort of triangle in a way. And then
wait, let's go back to the firefighter being on the front lawn. Now, is this somebody you saw in your neighborhood, or this is like an image that came to you?
I'm not sure where it came from. Okay. I did have a friend who worked on a film I did called The Ballad of Jack and Rose. He was one of the construction people on it, and he became friends with me and my family. And he's a volunteer firefighter, and I was always fascinated by the culture of volunteerism, the people that, you know, how it kind of runs in families, and the people that just give so much of their time to help other people. That was a very interesting idea for me, and the idea of a hero of that kind, and how somebody like that gets toppled was when something like that goes wrong, when heroism of that type goes wrong, but also the heroic impulse in a way in our country that I think we have a kind of almost hero complex, but that's a whole other subject.
That's a story for another day. Stick with our firefighter.
There I had our firefighter and peeing on his front lawn. And then I had Masha, the girl, and I didn't know yet who she was, but I remember once I happened to be with friends and one of my children in Prospect Park, where I think it's Prospect Park, where there's that lake, and we were rowing, and there were huge families of Orthodox Jews that happened to be there, and some Hasidic Jews and Orthodox Jews mixed in, and I was fascinated by the women, and I think it was really hot, and they were in very long sleeves and stockings and wigs. And I was thinking, why are they doing that? And what, you know, and I was both, you know, in the way that you look at somebody that you absolutely can't understand. And I remember getting kind of transfixed by the whole situation, and I just couldn't. I got rooted to the spot.
One of those things where you're daydreaming and someone goes, Rebecca.
Well, actually, I was with my friend and I'd met her friend for the first time, and that friend said to my friend, "Is she okay?" I mean,
your friend a little.
Usually just stare in his face like that. But there was something taking root in me, I think, there. And that's where I began to be really, I realized that Masha was going to be an Orthodox Jew. At first I thought she was going to be a Hasidic Jew, and then I realized that the Yiddish was going to really get in the way of being able to tell that story, and also that I'd never be able to enter into that community. But then I found a friend of a friend of a friend through kind of searching and searching. I found a family that I could stay with and be with a little bit, and started to learn about that community.
What did you understand at the end that you didn't understand that day in Prospect Park?
Well, I think the beauty of the way of life, of the tradition, and the ways in which it makes complete sense for them. They have a way of life which is very complete in that it's all coming out of a book and interpretations of a book. And I think things in my own character, which are actually very, very Jewish, they come from my family, my father's mother, his mother, etc. And it's something that I've thought about a lot, is about, we think a lot about our, our own parents in terms of where did traits come from and so on. But we don't think about so much about our grandparents or even our great-grandparents or our great-great-grandparents. And this, in a way, is that it's that thing of looking all the way back and seeing the reflections.
You could see the thread.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Let's talk about The Fly. How do we end up with The Fly?
Well, The Fly was another coincidence, which is once I realized that I was going down this Jewish route, I started reading a lot of any kind of anecdotes or anything I could find about that lifestyle. And there was a woman who wrote a book, a small book. It was really a compilation of her little newspaper essays that she had written for her local paper, with things like homely little things that had happened to her during her days. And one of them was that her daughter had been followed around by a fly all day, and then the next day. And she finally, the daughter said, maybe it's a soul that's paying for his sins. And I thought, a soul? Is there reincarnation in Judaism? And I started looking that up, and in fact there is. It's Gilgul Neshamot, so the reincarnation of Jewish souls. And once I knew that, I was off to the races.
That's it. You're like, we got a book. All right, sit back.
Yeah, and that's when it was kind of like, it all came together.
Here we go. Of course, this is not your first dance at the rodeo, to mix a bunch of metaphors. You've written books before. The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, you took that book and you turned it into a movie.
Yes.
Can this one, Jacob's Folly, be a movie?
Well, it isn't to me now.
Okay.
Partly because the experience of writing, I mean, it's been almost 5 years, and I really can't imagine writing it anymore. Writing.
This one took you 5 years.
Well, it took a total, really, of 5 years. I was writing for real about 4 years.
Still.
But it was it's been a long process.
Yes.
So I couldn't really just uninterrupted go back into it, and I don't really see how to lose what I would have to lose to make it into a movie that would fit into 2 hours. So that's
thing. Always the price you pay.
I just feel it's right now anyway. It's only a book, and I'm very happy for it to be just a book. Having
spent so much time on a book, does it make you now want to go do a film or?
Yes.
Anything.
Yes.
Start a Kool-Aid, a lemonade stand in Times Square.
Right. No, definitely. I mean, it was a very intense experience. It was a huge learning curve, and I'm writing a little screenplay, which I hope to shoot in the fall, which is a completely pure kind of directorial experience. I mean, it's based on somebody else's book, and it's just, it's been a much lighter experience writing it. And it's nice. It's something new for me.
Very good. Well, the book is a complete original. No one's going to be coming after you saying it was based on their work, for sure. Very interesting and inspirational. Rebecca Miller, Jacob's Folly, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to get the thoughts of how you got from there to this incredible book.
Thank you for leading me through it. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate that.